So, hey Bill, how are you?
Great. Rich, how are you today?
It's been so long since we've chatted like yesterday.
That's right. Good to see you in this new format, though.
Yeah,
Excited about this.
we're trying a new format now. So, just for everybody, my name's Rich Tong. Worked for a long time at Microsoft, and then over at Ignition, and then Chiming Ventures in Asia, doing venture capital. And now we've backed into making AI a wonderful thing and making transformation easy for everyone. And I'd like to introduce my dear friend Bill Price, who should need no introduction, but I'll give you one anyway, which is author of many books, but an old friend. I was trying to remember the first time we met. It's been years. But
Mm.
written many books, first VP of customer service at Amazon, of course, that great empire of customer satisfaction that I use almost every day. And now has been helping the rest of the world making customer service great. Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful today. I was telling you just at the beginning here that I went to the Seattle Storm playoff basketball game last night. They won in the last minute against the Las
Whoa.
Vegas Aces. So my voice is a little bit weak because of all the cheering that we did in the stands. But I'm really happy to join you today to talk about this exciting topic.
Yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about some of the things you're seeing now. We're going to talk
Sure.
a little bit about silent sufferers, which I think a lot of
Right.
people are wondering about. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about your journey, how you got there, and how we
Sure.
ended up on this topic.
Well, as you mentioned, I found myself in the fortunate position of getting interviewed for this job at Amazon 26 years ago.
Oh,
And that was
my
after
God.
I'd spent 8 years at MCI Telecommunications running a group of businesses called MCI Call Center Services.
Well,
And it was a B2B operation at MCI. And through my MCI experience and the years at Amazon, I came away with an even healthier understanding that customers had to be at the center of everything that you do, and not just lip service, but making sure you listen to customers, you anticipate what they need, you you actually apply what they're telling you. They tell you the darndest things like, "Hey, I would like to buy this from you," or "This doesn't work,"
yeah,
or "This is confusing." And so over the years, we've built and heard from many of our clients and other companies that as long as you can understand the core reasons why customers are contacting you, you can do all sorts of magic with it
yeah,
and figure out what are the right actions. So that's what we've been seeing now redoubled because of the power of AI. Because now we can do much more detailed analysis and analytics of what customers are saying and what's important to them, what bothers them, what irritates them. We'll get later on into a related topic, a exciting related topic about silent sufferers. But what we're seeing is that companies today that are able to grasp that dynamic of what customers are saying, they're able to reduce the number of contacts, the rate of contacts really dramatically.
well,
Number two, they can increase the loyalty and satisfaction and connections with those customers because now they're getting rid of irritating stuff. They're getting rid of things that are causing friction. And then thirdly, they see more revenue
yeah,
because customers buy more. They don't go away. They don't churn. They stay. They buy more. They renew their contracts, and so it has a triple win of controlling your costs and making customers happier. But then on the top line, getting more revenue.
yeah.
And AI is just propelling that. It's just informing that and propelling that.
Do you think AI, there's been a lot of hype about AI. Do you think this is real, or do you think this is you and I have been through so many revolutions, sort of flash in
Yeah,
the pan, not really there. And what's your view
I
on the
I I
reality
think
of it?
I think it's gone from a fascination to an essential.
Hmm.
By essential, I mean that it helps to unlock what are really difficult, deep-seated problems, multiple data sources. You can bring them all together. You can find patterns much faster than ever before. You can come up with recommendations engines. One of the exciting things that we're seeing is nicknamed Agent Assist, where these bots are listening to the conversation between a customer and let's say a customer service agent or a tech support agent, and the bot is listening and helping the agent come up with the right solution really quickly.
Right.
So it reduces the time you need to take in the contact, but it also comes up with a much better relationship. And these agent assist bots, this using AI, is really fantastic. It's something we've always thought about having job aids and having hints and tips for the agent. Now the bot can do that for you. And then agentic AI, which is sort of the next generation of chatbots, is also very exciting. It's very conversational, pulls in multiple data sources, and enables the conversation to work really well between the customer and the bots, the system, the agentic AI. If it doesn't work, you can talk to an agent, but it shows promise of holding and containing a lot more of those conversations in the automation channel, which is very exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think that, obviously I use Amazon a lot and those other things. And a lot of this AI stuff strikes me as, kind of surface-like. Like suddenly you're talking to something, it doesn't really answer your questions. Are there ways around that sort of, I almost want to call it faux AI, right? Because it's just a hard thing to get implemented and really make work. And, frankly, some of my early experience has been sort of negative because it doesn't really do that much. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, AI has been such a generic term. It's being slapped everywhere. So chatbots that have been around for 5-10 years weren't really AI.
Yeah.
I mean, the early vendors called them AI, but I think that helped to confuse or contributed to confuse all of us about what AI really is. I think it really wasn't until generative AI burst on the scene with OpenAI a few years ago that this whole area began to explode. I've been in AI, working in AI, both within my consulting company, Driva Solutions, but also with another firm called Antuit AI. I've been doing that for 12, 15 years. And yet the early AI was not there yet. Now I think we're able to have much higher levels of accuracy and precision. Obviously, it has to be prompted and scripted and built well. Anything has to be in this world. You know that from your Microsoft years and other work you've done too. And I think some of the earlier examples were just, let's try everything we can.
Right.
Something's going to work.
Right.
And unfortunately, the failure rates were really high, and the turnoff rates for customers was really high. Now I think we're almost like trying to win them back by saying, no, really, this is better.
Yeah.
We've got some tools now that really do work.
Got it. Well, maybe you can just tell me a little bit about sort of the recipes for success. You've written so many different books that I've admired a lot and think are wonderful about being customer first and savvy and so forth. And a lot of this has to do with this mysterious term called CRM, customer relationship management. Maybe you can break it down for us. What are the big pieces in CRM today, and what should people be thinking about? And then tell me about how you can think AI works. But just why don't you break down CRM a little bit and what it is today? Because there's so many. Sometimes I think it's just a chat bot that you hit enter 100 times to try to get to an operator with, and so it must be more than that.
Well, I think CRM, like AI, has been used or overused for so many years. It's gotten to be quite a confusing thing.
Yeah.
In fact, my business partner, Peter Massey, out of the UK, always said that CRM was written incorrectly. It should be CMR, customer managed relationships, and the customers need to manage it. Yeah, it's much better. If you think about it that way, you kind of start scratching your chins going, wait a minute now, do customers really want a relationship with us? No, we want to build a connection with them. But what they want is either a transaction, a solution, a product delivered on time. Customers don't necessarily want the relationship with the company or with the organization. But so CRM had the promise of saying, we're going to pull all these different data sources in together, know all of your needs, all of your spoken needs, even your unspoken needs, your dreams, and we'll fulfill those for you. And I'm afraid that was an overhype, an overpromise. And so if we think about CMR, customer managed relationships, how can we get the customers to be in charge and listen to them? Because if they're saying to us, as they do all the time, like you did, Rich, this doesn't work. This tool doesn't work. I didn't get the answer. I'm going away. That's a bad thing. Or this tool didn't work, and then I'm going to talk to a customer service agent, so maybe he or she can help me.
Yeah, that's me, by the way. You just named me. I'm completely I just want to talk to a human. Get me past these bot things.
Well, and I'll give you an example, naming names because it's so current. A good friend of mine got free tickets for that Seattle Storm game last night, and so Jonathan tried to transfer them to me inside of Ticketmaster. Simple thing. I've done it before. I've transferred and if it didn't work. It didn't work. I got this error message on the Ticketmaster site.
But didn't say
So
40, didn't say 404, did it?
no, but it was similar to that. It was really arcane. So I called up Ticketmaster has a customer service line. So I
Yeah.
called them up,
Yep.
waited for a while, talked to this guy, stumped him. He had no idea what to do. Stumped him. He had me clear my cache. No, it didn't work at all. And finally he said, you know what you got to do? You have to
What?
call the venue itself, call the team itself.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So I called
That's
the
terrible.
team, and this guy at the team, a guy named Micah, here in Seattle,
Yeah.
he said, you know, I haven't seen this before, but let me see what I can do. And he fixed it.
Wow.
He fixed it.
Wow.
And so
A success story.
success story took an hour and 15 minutes out of my day, but I got a chance to see the game last night with my neighbor, and we had a great time watching the victory. But why did that have to happen?
Yeah, no kidding.
Why was it that this simple transfer that should have been done through a series of clicks between Jonathan and me through Ticketmaster didn't work? And now the question is, did Ticketmaster even know that happened?
Right.
I mean, Ticketmaster's a huge company with Live Nation and everything, and I give them that they've been quite successful. But if that's a problem that many customers are having, then that's a serious issue. If it's a one-off, then how did it happen as a one-off?
Yeah.
So I think that promise of CRM, the promise of coming up with these different systems, has failed us in many cases, and that's what keeps us all trying to kind of get them to work better.
It's so interesting because every time, having invested in a lot of different companies, when you talk to someone in charge of CRM or whatever it is, all they talk about is cost. Like every time I'm on a call, all I'm thinking about is it 15 cents per cost? Is it 20 cents per cost?
Right.
And it just feels like it's such a cost-driven, let's reduce the number. Tell me about how you think about it and how our viewers should think about it.
Well, to me, the costs are a key part of it, but it really needs to be overall profitability and long-term success. And which sounds trite, but what I mean is, if you also have to increase revenue.
Yeah.
You have to hold on to revenue, number one, which we'll get to in a little bit with our other topic. But you have to hold on to revenue and increase revenue, and if you can reduce the unnecessary costs, the costs that were redundant, that didn't have to happen, that represented mistakes or confusion, or could have been digitized, could have been automated.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we've done our consulting over the years and advised companies around the world, there's a sizable percentage of existing contacts that need to be expanded. In other words, they're really good contacts. They're valuable for the customer. They're valuable for the company, and they're ones that you should seek and build more revenue on them.
Yeah.
And they have to do with reducing churn and increasing sales and cross sales and that sort of thing. But unfortunately, the majority of contacts are ones that are irritating customers and are just sucking up costs. So how can you reduce the need for that? It will reduce your costs. So I think it's got to be both cost and revenue. And then the soft side in the middle, of course, the soft side in the middle of the sandwich here is loyalty and satisfaction, and are customers happy with what they're seeing? And if they're not happy, they're going to go away. But if they are happy, they're going to stay with you. They're going to buy more. You're going to buy your Amazon stuff every day, as you mentioned. And
can I
I'm going to go back to my favorite places too.
Can I give you my favorite story, which is that I don't know how Amazon does it, but I buy a product, I bought the wrong one, and they just take it back.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, it's how many companies it's like giving something back is like, I feel like we're fighting World War III. As I can almost see the armies of people trying to make sure that I can't cancel a subscription or kill. Right now, I'm in trouble with a large carrier because I can't even figure out how to log in to close the account. I know you do a lot of consulting. How do you even think about those problems? It seems like conceptually we have a problem here. There's a strategy issue with how you even think about the problem. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should say that. It's sad, but you say that last one about trying to exit your business. I heard a brilliant idea the other day that I just had not heard in that way. So we talk about onboarding customers a lot and how essential it is to onboard customers, to get them acquainted with how we operate as a company, because it may be different than the way they've operated with another telco or another bank or another e-commerce company. And so we do wind up spending a lot of time correctly on onboarding. And what this guy was saying was, we need to spend an equally solid amount of time on offboarding.
Oh, I love that.
Customers
I love that.
Who are leaving.
Yeah.
Here's what your last bill will look like. Here's how you have to exit this. Here's how you have to move out of this account or this issue and so forth. While we don't want customers to have to offboard, they do. The natural thing is, and the reality is they do leave.
Yeah.
They do churn or offboard. So how can you make it easier for them as well? Some of them may wind up staying as a result of that,
It's
but otherwise you'll feel
9:15.
good about that experience. But I think that the problem with making things hard to leave, unfortunately, goes back to years ago where some of the early subscription services did make it hard to leave. They put you through the ringer and you asked you the 20
dude,
questions.
that's happening right now. I can give you stories.
Hang up on you and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
sorry," and then you got to call back again. So the reality is that if customers aren't happy with your service or your product, you need to give them an exit ramp and help them figure out what's really right for them. Just a quick story on that one. Years ago, again, back at MCI, it was formative for me, and I've used this in several of my books, Rich, is MCI in the consumer business would constantly look at usage patterns for customers in the telecommunications. So if you signed up, let's say, for a special tariff, a special service fee for international calling. Right now, that's maybe not that big of a deal, but back then, international calling was expensive off of a U.S. plan.
I know it.
And MCI would monitor it and say, they even call you up and say, "Rich, you haven't been using your international plan for the last 6 months.
Mhm.
So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to take that plan off. We're going to credit you 3 months of non-usage, but that you paid for." And
Wow.
Yeah, wow, that was 33 years ago, 32 years ago. And customers were shocked. But the reason why MCI did that is it was competing aggressively against AT&T and Sprint. It needed to be different. It needed to be, really customer centric, and it was. And customers had that wow reaction, and it helped them to move away from some of these unnecessary charges and costs. So when companies are able to recognize now with and this was pre-AI, now with AI and generative AI and using large language models, you can start spotting those patterns really, really quickly, reach out to the customer and figure out what to do, which is kind of a preview of what we're going to get to later here. But it's the idea of making it easy to come on board, making it easy to use the products, and then, if necessary, make it easy to leave. I think that those are the three perfect combinations.
I love it. I mean, I think one good example is that, you talk about these hour and 15-minute stories. You can't leave the company. I mean, why would you ever want to go back? I do think that there is this problem that people think that, if I leave Amazon Prime, I'll never come back again. Or if I leave this, I'll never come back again. Don't you think,
Right.
This is related to this idea of a silent sufferer? People just get angry and they're not going to even tell you what's happening. So let's talk a little bit about silent sufferers, because that's sort of one of the key things that I really love. This whole idea, because when you talk about customer managed relationships, it gives me a whole different view. So what is a silent sufferer? What's it about? Why are you talking about it?
Well, let me go back to the third book that I co-authored with David Jaffe.
You have to give a plug for your books, by the way, Bill.
There we go. So this is the third book. It's called The Frictionless Organization. Came out in 2022, and so it's in the chapter called Learn. And so what I talking about here is the idea of non-contacting groups. So for example, organizations might research similar customer groups and determine that some of them are not purchasing the same amount or types of products or services as are others. This can lead to new insights about the non-contacting groups.
Tell me about this. Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is that, and so I talk about non-contactors. So everything we've talked about so far is around what I would call the complainers or the contactors, customers who are bothering to or figure out that they have to contact you for support. So we're talking about handle times and how long things take, and the Ticketmaster example, the MCI example, and so forth. Well, the reality that is out there, and you can see this in academic research, you can see it in work that we've done and other companies have done too, is that non-complainers outnumber complainers by a significant number. And the numbers range from 4 to 1 to up to 20 or 25 to 1. So another business friend of mine, business colleague of mine, John Goodman, has researched this for a number of times over the years in the organizations that he's run, TARP and other organizations, which have shown that a lot of customers just don't complain. They
That's
don't
me.
bother to complain.
That's me.
That's right.
That's me.
That's you.
I never complain. I just leave. I'm gone.
And that's the reality. So here's the way to think about it: is that you've got sort of the base of the column here. You've got complainers, and they're wonderful to have. You want complainers. You want to have customers tell you what's going on, so you can figure out problems to fix and figure out opportunities to sell. So you've got complainers down at the bottom. However, they represent on average only about 15% of your customers.
Really? So most people never even, they just,
85% don't complain on average. Now the averages are always difficult to comprehend, but let's across industries, across time, again, looking at research results, looking at work we've done. So if you think at 15% do complain, we have to do a great job with them.
Yeah.
And we've sort of talked about that so far. We
Right.
can get back to that later on. But what do you do about the other 85%? Well,
Yeah.
the other 85% represent two categories that we see. There is a group that's okay, and we call those the happy campers, and they represent about 25% of the grand total.
Got it.
But 60% of the grand total, the majority of the non-complainers are ones who are what we call silent sufferers.
Got it.
Okay, and these are customers. You say you raise your hand as one. I've often been that one as well.
Yeah.
We went to a restaurant the other day with some good friends who are in town. I won't name the name of the restaurant here. It is a Seattle Bellevue area restaurant, and one of the four courses that the four of us had was not very good. But we didn't return it. We didn't complain about it. We didn't return it. We didn't finish it, but we didn't return it. The other three were actually fine. We didn't complain. So now they're out of town. They probably won't come back to this restaurant for a while, but Lori and I are here locally.
Yeah.
Are we going to go back to that restaurant?
No.
And we talked about it afterwards. We said we probably don't need to. There are other restaurants we can go to.
Right.
But we didn't give that restaurant the benefit of our complaint.
Yeah.
So it begs a question, and a really important one. Why is it that you've got those 85%? If 15% do bother to complain, why do the 85% not complain? As I said, part of those are customers who are okay. They're fine with the overall service. They fix the problem themselves. But the majority of the non-complainers are the ones who are the silent sufferers. And let me break it down this way for you. Number one is the organization is no longer listening, so customers don't even bother to complain.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one for me.
Yeah, you've seen that.
Yeah.
I've tried before. They didn't listen to me before, so why even bother? So I'm just going to either fix it on my own, or, as you said, I'm going to be leaving.
Yeah.
Number two is customers sometimes don't know where to complain.
Oh.
So at this restaurant, I knew who to complain to. I had the person who served us, and certainly there was the manager about 10 feet away. I could have complained to her, but so sometimes, though, you don't know who to complain to. It's hard to get an 800 number. It's hard to figure out whether you're going to get a response from this company or not. The third reason is really subtle, but it's so important, is that there's a cultural hesitancy to complain.
That's me. That's me. I'm not going to complain. Yeah.
Many people around the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of it is with customers whose family come from or still live in Japan, in China, in other parts of Asia.
Yeah.
There you go.
You don't.
It's
not polite. It's just not polite.
It's not polite.
Yeah.
It's not polite. And exactly. And so when Taniguchi-san and I set up Amazon's first contact center in Sapporo, Japan, to support Amazon.co.jp. This is many years ago, year 2000. We oversized the call center, the contact center in Sapporo, using ratios that we had experienced in the other countries that Amazon was operating. And Taniguchi kind of knew that could have been a problem, but we certainly did not want to understaff when we launched. But what we found was we had relatively few contacts per order, which is one of the metrics we looked at. And we realized that other Japanese customers were also having some of the same problems. They just didn't bother to complain.
Yeah. But I'm the worst case, silent suffering.
Well, and the problem with silent sufferers from an organization point of view is you're robbed of that feedback. You're robbed of it could be just minor feedback, but it fits into a pattern. It could be major feedback that is going to damage the brand and make it really difficult for you. So the key thing is then to start saying, well, what do we do about this? So if we realize that some customers are giving up, they think that we're not listening, they think it's hard to register a complaint, or they're hesitant to complain, it makes it incumbent upon organizations to figure that out. What is the ratio for your organization? Is it
Yeah.
85 to 15? Is it 50-50? What is that ratio? And for certain businesses, you can figure that out pretty quickly. You say we've got 50,000 customers. If it's a business to business operation or maybe a subscription service, we have 50,000 customers. We've heard from 15,000 of them, but we haven't heard from 35,000 of them. Let's not presume that they're happy.
I see. That's a key thing.
Let's presume that they're unhappy. What we're taking now with some of the products that we're building and the consulting that we're doing is, let's presume that it's our fault. Which has always been the Amazon point of view, by the way, which is, let's assume it's our fault. Let's assume that we made the mistake. Let's not assume that it's a customer's mistake. So the first thing is to start calculating some of these percentages. So Gen AI and LLMs
I'm so glad you brought that up, because Scott Wesson, hello, Scott's listening, he brings up the classic thing, right? As a chief digital officer, you can't do what you can't measure, right? You can't work on what you can't measure. So yeah, talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's so critical, as Scott points out, and if you don't know that this is going on, then all you're doing is listening to the squeaky wheels, which is important. It's essential. But what I'm arguing is that above that or beyond that, in kind of this larger nest, are the customers that aren't bothering to complain anymore. The second key thing about what to do is to make it easier to complain or make it easier to contact your company. In my first book, The Best Service is No Service, which came out in 2008, we have a whole chapter says, make it really easy to contact your company. And this was back in 2008 when a lot of companies were burying their 800 number. They were making it hard to have contacts. Our point back then, David Jaffe and my point back then was, no, you had to really open up the throttles, have the 800 number on the homepage, have it on your communications if you're sending out written invoices and so forth, or bills. Make sure you know how to contact the company for help and make it very, very easy. They may not need to use it, but it's also a way to connect with your customers.
Right.
And then the third one that we want to talk about is, let's figure out the patterns here. Let's figure out the patterns. What was it that really caused the complaints to come in?
Got it.
Okay, well, and then let's find out who are similarly situated customers.
Oh, I see. That's a key. That's key.
So I use this as an example, a real quick, simple example. We all travel quite a bit. All of us on the call have been in hotels and travel quite a bit. Let's say you're at a hotel and the hotel is hosting a big party that night, anniversary party, wedding party, whatever it is. And that party is downstairs from your room. It's within earshot. And it's a loud party. They're having a great time. You kind of wish you'd been invited, but you're not at the party. You're up in your room. You're trying to get some work done, or you're trying to go to sleep, and you can't do it because it's too loud. So if you are a silent sufferer, you're going to be really upset. But let's say you complain. So you complain. Rich is going to complain, but maybe I'll complain. I'll call down to the front desk and I'll say, hey, this is too loud for me. Can you move me to another room? Or when is this party going to end? I need to know. And the hotel might say, sorry, we're all sold out because of the party. We can't move you anywhere. But hey, we're going to take $20 off of your bill, or give you free breakfast tomorrow, or whatever it might be, some sort of immediate compensation or recompense. And you go, well, that's okay. Thank you for listening to me. That's okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But when you think about it, it might be that 8 other guests are on the same floor, also within earshot of the noisy party. What does the hotel do with those other 8 customers? Generally, the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
They wait for the customer to complain. I met with a telco executive last year about an issue that was going around in his business. And I said, so what do you do with all the other customers that had the same telco problem? And he says, we'll wait for them to complain and then we'll do something about it. And that is not the way to operate, because a lot of those customers won't complain. Yeah. And the key thing that you mentioned a little bit earlier, Rich, is what will they do? If given the opportunity, they're going to go away. They're not going to renew. They're not going to buy as much in the future. Their purchase rate will go down. That's a symptom that you can start looking at. If a customer was buying something on Amazon at a rate like this, meaning up, and then all of a sudden it plateaus, it goes down, you need to know what that is.
So it sounds like this measurement thing is not as easy. I mean, it's not like you can run a survey saying, are you a silent sufferer, and bucketize you. You've got to really maybe work with Bill and Rich on how to think about this problem.
Well, you put a key point, which is surveys are just not the way to go anymore for this.
Yeah.
You can certainly do surveys and have panels to do some, come up with really some important insights. John Goodman does that, for example, comes up with these panel surveys that have terrific insights for the consumer packaged goods industry and many other industries that he supports in his business. But if you do a post-contact survey or a reach-out survey, the response rates are going to be really, really low.
Oh yeah. I mean, like have I ever answered one?
Right. 5%. If you're lucky, 10% maybe.
Yeah.
Some businesses that we work with might show a 30% response rate. But then you look at the complement of that, 70% or more of the customers aren't even bothering to respond to a survey.
Right.
And once
It's
again, if you
9:30.
ask yourselves, okay, they must be happy because they didn't respond to the survey. No, if you take the opposite point of view, saying they must not be happy, they can't be happy, or else they would have responded. In other words, the idea of
I see.
we have to.
It's a total mindset change. It's really a total mindset change. Total mindset change. Yeah.
And it's a humbling mindset change. You've got to figure out that we probably aren't doing things right. We certainly know we're not perfect as an organization. So the next step on all this is to, once you start figuring out who they are, you reach out to them. Even if you don't know precisely who they are, but if you know that customers were similarly situated, they also had a telco outage, they also had products that didn't arrive on time, they also were in a hotel that was really loud, whatever those issues might be, reach out to them and find out what's going on. It is shocking how positive the response is from customers. They go, wow, thank you for calling me up. Yes, indeed, I did have a problem. Or, I did have a problem, but I kind of let it go for a while, but I should have said something to you. And the key thing is now bringing these two together, as we continue to be good at automating irritating contacts or irritating contacts that should be digitized, or eliminating stuff that's broken. As we remove some of that demand coming into our contact centers, we will have fewer staff needed to handle the inbound contacts. That's what is one of the dreams of agentic AI and having root cause elimination and the stuff that we do in our products and services. What you can do is you can turn those agents around as outbound ambassadors.
I see.
Call up on board after a customer's come on board for a new contract or signed a new relationship, a new contract with you, or maybe they just bought their second or third product and now you want to reach out to them. You can have new staff call up. You can have your experienced staff call up and just say, just want to see how things are going with you, Rich. And Rich might say, well, let me tell you these 5 problems that I didn't bother telling you about. And then it can be a treasure trove. It can be a huge treasure trove.
It seems like the way to measure, to summarize, is you've got to do some root cause. I love your term, root cause analysis, right? What are the big reasons that people are unhappy? Our son just moved from an apartment in Quebec to an apartment in North Carolina to an apartment in Austria. And I can tell you, if someone had reached out on all the problems he faced, I'm sure everyone's got the same issues. And so it seems like just figuring, first of all, bucketizing your problems to summarize, and then doing proactive calling to see whether or not you're right. And then you can have some measure. But it sounds pretty complicated, Bill. I mean, is this something, we can help on? I mean, how do you help people do this? This is not like something you can just, get out of a book or ask, ChatGPT or something how to fix things.
No, it's not easy. I mean, it really means you got to be able to access and interpret multiple data sources, both the data sources around the complainers, the CRM type databases, but also social media, any survey data that you might have as well. Basically, collect all those different data sources into one, and as you said, bucketize and make sense of them. And what we do is we come up with this concept of having standard number of intents or reasons in the customer's language that tell you what's on their mind, like this didn't work for me, or I'm confused about this, or this product didn't arrive on time, or this product came broken and needs to be fixed, or I need to return something to you, or I need to buy more of this, or can you tell me more about this? Basically, a short list of 30 to 50 is what we look at, different intents. That's the bucketizing, and apply those intents or those buckets across all those different channels and all those issues. And you can do it with LLMs. You can do it now with data lakes and so forth. And then figure out where those patterns come out. And so we've been building products to do that. They're under the brand name Intendra that we'll be launching very soon. And one of those One of those products is one that will focus specifically on silent sufferers, who will say, let's find those patterns among the complainers that we can then use to find out and identify and work with the non-complainers, including the subset of the non-complainers who are the silent sufferers. And we're very excited about some of the early steps that we're seeing, and some early pilots that are going on, both on the complainer side with understanding intents, understanding the emotions of the intents, the agent performance against those intents, and what actions to take for those intents, but then going beyond that to figure out what to do with reaching out to these silent sufferers, the proactive calls, proactive alerts. And then let me add one other thing, just while I'm on the roll here, which is you need to figure out whether something worked. In other words, if that outbound call, did that outbound call make a difference? Did that compensation make a difference for the customer? Did the resolution that you provide for them make a difference? Did they resume their purchase pattern?
So it's really
not cancel.
It's really a pipeline you've got to work on, right?
It's a pipeline.
Use intents, be proactive, figure out if something works. So it's a lot more complicated than just running a survey and just, changing the call script.
The surveys can be an important ingredient, but it's not the only thing. It can't be the only thing. It's got to go way beyond that. And that's, again, back to your earlier question in this conversation, is AI real today or not? And the answer is Gen AI and large language models are real, and they're here to stay, and they can be incredibly powerful. We're excited about what the opportunities are and what the early successes are for this already.
Got it. Well, maybe we can talk a little bit about how we're working together. We've got a little company called Total Neural Enterprises. You've got Intendra. I mean, how do you see us helping to solve this problem and find these silent sufferers? Because it sounds like you make it sound like it could be the majority of customers. I mean, it's actually it's like a black hole of customer service.
It is the majority. And it could be 50-50, which means it's equal. It might be less than 50-50 in certain circumstances, but everything we've researched and read and seen and experienced over the last 20 years or so as Driva Solutions is that it is the majority.
Wow.
So
we in our business with customer managed relations, we haven't even hit the big problem yet. That's crazy.
No, we focused on the complainers, again, an essential core element. You learn a lot from them, and you can, obviously turn them around because they're the ones who reach out to you. And so the idea is, how can you figure out who these non-complainers are? So what we've begun to do together, and what I'm really interested in exploring a lot more with you and with customers out there and companies out there is how to combine the power of the Neural Enterprise, T&E, your company, and on the years of experience we've had as Driva Solutions doing consulting, and my line bridge partners around the world who are in 6 or 7 other countries: Australia, Japan, UK, France, Germany, and India. And basically, this is the overused word, but productize it. Figure out how to routinize or productize this understanding of customers, their intents, meaning what their reasons are, what we did with them, the results of what we did working with them. Do that with the complainer category. We've got several products for that under this new brand name called Intendra.
Right.
But we then have this extension. And by the way, the trademark that we thought about for the silent sufferers looks like it's not going to pass muster. Rich, we have to come up with a new trademark name. Yeah, it's okay.
Our little system can help you do that. No problem.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll come up with a new name and come up with a new name the next 24 hours or so for that one, because we ran into a little bit of an issue with another company already owning that particular trademark. But the idea is coming up with these patterns, finding these patterns, and coming up with what the proactive alerts and the interventions are. We'll use the word intervention. We've used that a lot within customer service over the years. What is it that Rich needs? It's going to be different than what Scott needs. It's going to be different than what Maria needs. Each customer has to have a separate or personalized response to what they do. So if Rich is a frequent guest at that hotel where the noise was and he was not a complainer, there's something different you ought to think about doing for Rich than it might be for Maria, who is a first time. Well, actually, if she's a first-time guest, you may want to do something really, really special for her to bring her back again. But basically, look at the patterns of previous purchases, include that into it. Look at the patterns of previous problems and complaints, which could be a long time in the past,
Right.
again, because these are now non-complainers we're talking about. So the first thing that we're doing together, that our two companies are doing together, is figuring out who are these customers.
Yeah.
And then number two, what are the correct approaches for them, the outreaches for them, and thirdly, what can we do with them, and then fourthly, how did it work? And I think that those four steps are what we're building together, and I'm really quite excited about that too.
I think you're completely right. I mean, just to recap a little bit, understanding the problem with your company is just so important. And then our partnership is about, well, the other stages, put it all together into a business plan, a process,
Yep.
and make it routine. And I can imagine the presentation to the board, which could be one part amazing and the other part scary, which is we found this new frontier. We could, I'm always an optimist, right? I could double my happy customers just by taking a lick at the silent sufferers. And
Right.
that sounds
Right.
pretty exciting to me. If I could double happiness, just seems like it's going to be good for everybody.
The numbers are huge, and it really is a black hole of sorts. And I think with AI, with generative AI, and the LLMs that you've been building and we've been building as well, I think it's a powerful combination to figure out how to identify and repair.
Yeah.
It's almost like a repair function. And
Yeah.
how can we repair it? Some of it may be beyond repair, quite frankly. It
Yeah.
is maybe too late in the game. They may have already begun to move away. And so how can you figure that out? Maybe there's some opportunity to hold on to them, but it is a matter of urgency. I really do think, though.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that I'll make it simple. It's just looking, I think of this really simply, Bill, sometimes is that we can work together for you to find these problems and understand what the problems are. And then we can work on, well, what are the systems you need long-term to keep that from happening again? So we're,
Exactly.
Exactly. You find them, we'll fry them. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Well, and I mean, in our field and other fields, there's often that sort of medical analogy.
Yeah.
Rooting out the symptoms. Symptoms are really hard to distinguish in any personal condition, human condition for medical support. Same sort of thing in business. It could be something we did 2 years ago. So it could be that one bad course in the meal at that good restaurant that you had with some friends. It could be the hour and a half that it took to get an answer, to get those tickets transferred from Jonathan so I could go see the game last night.
Yeah.
It could be a whole bunch of different things. And it's different for each of us. But if you can start finding those patterns, again, as I mentioned, if I was the only Ticketmaster, if Jonathan and I were the only two Ticketmaster customers who had this problem, why the heck was that? But if we were an early indicator of other problems, like a lot of other customers are going to have this issue, that could overwhelm the Ticketmaster support system.
Yeah.
And cause huge frustrations.
It's such an interesting point, because I'm sort of an engineer by training, and this is so appealing that think about it like customer managed relationships. Find out the causes, put in systems to try to fix the cause, and then find others who have the problem. And so it turns from a sort of passive, let's lower costs, to let's go get these guys, and what are our top problems, and let's go solve these things. And it just seems like it's a much better approach. Yeah.
Well, the passive is important. We've talked about that several times already in the call today, but reaching out is really impressive. I'll go back to that MCI example that you gave, the WOW example. That's a long time ago. And in a way that's been nicknamed downselling in kind of a pejorative way, because those consumers back in the 90s who were unwittingly still paying for international dialing plans that they were not using, at some point, we're going to figure out that was a toxic charge that they were no longer using. They probably would have then called up MCI and said, I need to get this off, had a debate, or they would have just silently moved away and said, I'm going to go back to AT&T, or I'm going to, go to Sprint or something. And so by reaching out way back then to those customers, the retention rate was huge. The response rate was huge to them. It really was.
So let's take it a little further. Let's 5 years from now, Bill, what do you think the shape of I'm going to adopt your term, customer managed relations are? What's your sort of dream, and what do you think's coming?
Well, let me start with this one. I mentioned agentic AI a couple of times. I think agentic AI and some of its cousins that are being piloted by many companies will wind up siphoning off a large percentage of relatively simple inquiries and increasingly complex inquiries using a series of bots that will be available when you come onto a website or you come into an 800 type number, a phone service number, or into a chat service or WhatsApp, all these different channels. And so agentic AI will wind up siphoning off a large percentage of those contacts. What will result will be more complicated issues that have to be handled downstream by the agent population, customer service agents, new issues that haven't been programmed in the AI yet, or issues that where the customer didn't like what they heard in the agentic AI, or they have another issue. And so you have to be prepared for a change in the workforce that happens downstream. In 5 years, the workforce will be probably more educated, more ready to go with complex issues. And when those issues go to an agent, then they'll have to have an agent assist or another type of AI tool that provide coaching and assistance to the agent to make that conversation work well. Having built that up as kind of a, maybe not even 5 year, but a near-term vision, up to 5 year vision for the assisted side, then the patterns start coming in to figure out what to do with the non-complainers.
Yeah.
Then I think in 5 years, the non-complainers will be much more easily and readily identifiable because stuff we're doing together and maybe a realization by others that this is so important.
Yeah.
And those non-complainers will have a voice. They will have a voice that they are able to express into the company, and or the company can get from them when they contact them. And there'll be much more ubiquitous outreach.
Yeah.
I think WhatsApp and two-way text messaging and asynchronous communications are going to be increasingly important for that outbound communication to the customers. And so as a result of all this, I think in 5 years, we're going to see a reduction in the rate of assisted contacts. Those contacts are going to be longer on average. They're going to be more complicated. They're going to require more empathy. So the assisted world, the complainer world, is going to change quite a bit. And then the non-complainer world, including silent sufferers, I think will be much more revealed and open to retention within 5 years.
Well, it sounds like the black hole is going to get bigger and more important as we do. And so we better help some of these companies, because it sounds like it's both a problem and also an opportunity. I mean, is this a way to make money, or is this a way to save money? What do you think about that, Bill?
Well, I think from a company point of view, it's an essential way to save money, because the numbers that we've seen, again, from a huge, what we did is we did, among other things, we looked at several hundred academic articles that have been written, scientific, well peer-reviewed articles that have been written over the last 15, 20 years. And we put about 300 of them through ChatGPT and other engines, and came up with some really startling numbers that the churn rate for silent sufferers is about 80%, 80%.
Wow, that's huge.
And it's higher than the previous high number, which was for customers who complained and didn't get the answer they wanted. And that's somewhere in the 50s, 50, 60% churn rate.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality, you can't do that. You can't run a business. You can't maintain and sustain a business that way with all the money it takes to acquire a customer, to onboard them, to get them to start purchasing or dealing with you, to then leave them at for 80% of them to leave is a critical number to worry about. And again, the numbers could be less than 80 for certain companies in certain situations, but I'm using 80 as a real startling number because it really is a big one. So that translates by reducing that from 80% down to 60 or 50%, whatever the number could be in the next few years. Then you're able to retain more customers, not have to acquire them. You save a huge amount in marketing monies too. So that's a big advantage for the company. So to me, it's not just a cost game, it's a whole profit game.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I mean, the work we do here primarily is around talking to CEOs and C-suite people. We have over 50 different agents, from customer management to chief marketing officers that are all assisting, and it's all the same thing. The workforce needs to get smarter. It's actually a very pro-employment thing, because there are so many problems in businesses. And I can just see how this whole thing fits together. Well, why don't we just wrap it up, Bill? What do you think are the most important things people need to know in terms of what to do next? I mean, what should someone who's listening to this do next, and how should they do, and what should they be thinking about?
I'll just go back and maybe do 2 or 3 quick summaries. One is, don't assume that your customers are happy.
Yeah.
Especially those customers that aren't contacting you. Don't assume that they're happy. Assume there's something wrong that you need to deal with. That's number one. Number two is, in pursuit of number one, figure out what percentages are in that category.
Yeah.
I mentioned the number 60% of total customers are silent sufferers. It's gonna vary quite a bit, but who are the customers that have not reached out to you in a long time?
Yeah.
Who may have had the same problems that other customers have had?
Right.
Which of the customers who have not reached out to you who have had the same problems and they just didn't bother to reach out to you? So maybe they're okay, maybe they're happy campers, as I'm calling them, but don't assume that.
Yeah.
And number three is come up with this outreach program, this active AI, Gen AI, LLM based outreach program. It can't just be willy-nilly. It can't just be calling 50 people and finding out what's going on. It can't be doing a survey.
Yeah.
That's not nearly good enough. It really is have to be a much more comprehensive census of what's going on with those non-complainers. And the way to do that, if those are the 3 quick steps, the underneath of it, the foundation is to figure out what are the intents, what are the reasons or the problems that are underpinning any complaint that might be happening, and then use that as your pattern recognition to figure out who the non-complainers are and what to do about that.
Makes complete sense to me. So how can we help people be successful in this regard, Bill?
Well, let's just open up an opportunity for them to contact us for for a conversation. Love to find out what other companies are doing, what other companies might be up to. If they're worrying about the same issue, we'd love to chat with them about how we could help them out.
How do people reach out to you and me?
Well, my new email address isn't set up yet, so we'll still use the one I've had for a number of years, which is bill@drivasolutions.com. So DRIVA solutions.com. And that'll be the easiest way to reach me in the meantime.
Yeah, I agree. I'm Rich@Teeny.ai, this LinkedIn chat. This is the way to reach us. I just want to thank you again, Bill. I mean, every time I talk to you, I just learned so many new things. We've had some great questions from folks like Scott and other folks, and been summarizing those. And it's always a pleasure, Bill. And I think that we've had great success working together in the past, and we're going to have it in this future, because figuring out who the non-contactors are, figuring out the intents, and then building a program around it. That's what you and I are going to do together. So thanks very much. It's always hard to end these streams because there's no clapping and applause, but I'm just going to provide a little clapping here and thank Bill. Thank you guys very much.
Rich, enjoyed it very much. Sounds good. Thanks
All right,
everybody
man.
for joining today.
Bye-bye.